There we go.
Wow, people are here already.
We're late to our own party.
We have the fuzzy background on, so no one can see what's behind us.
I'll unfuzz it. Choose virtual background.
I probably shouldn't.
Hey, everybody, we'll give it just another couple minutes to let people join us. But for those who can see, we got our photographer, Randy Erickson, in the background here, just lurking during the meeting, checking it out.
In from Sodak today. Anyone call it Sodak?
No.
No. I've got an official
It's
from.
like calling it, nobody in San Francisco calls it Frisco.
I don't think you can abbreviate Maine. Well, thank you guys all for joining us. We were out on course today. It's looking great. Really beautiful course we have lined up for all 3 races. Obviously, the longer you race, the more you get to see. So just putting that out there. But we have collected about 10 or so questions that have been sent to us in the past couple of days, and I'm going to go through those first, and then we can take some from you guys if you have any. I would really appreciate it if you guys actually wouldn't mind just typing the questions up in the chat, unless they're really complicated. But you could send those in, and then
and send them to everyone when you put them in the chat. That way, people can see what questions have been asked.
Yes, unless it's a private question. You may also ask private questions.
Then you probably should just email us if it's a private question.
But really quickly, Jeff O'Connor, can you hear us? Give us a thumbs up. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. You are a test, just because you're in my top left corner, so I can see you easily. Cool. All right, so I think we can get started.
Yeah, go ahead.
So yes, thank you guys all for signing up for the 2021 Maine Summer Adventure Race. I'm Cliff, this is Kate, we're the race directors. That's Randy in the middle there. He's got the master, the thing you guys all want to see. But we'll keep that hidden for now. We'll give it to you Saturday. How about that? Yeah, so the course is finalized as of now, and it's all in the tracking system
for the 24-hour race.
For the 24-hour race.
Yeah.
So we are just in our final stages here of dotting all our I's and crossing all our T's before we get ready to welcome you guys all to Pineland Farms on Saturday morning. So I will go through some of the questions we've gotten just to start. The first thing is we've gotten some requests for dietary, either food allergies, food preferences, or any kind of limitations. Please keep sending those to strongmachinear@gmail.com so we can accommodate you. We should have things for everyone so far that we've gotten. We've got vegan, vegetarian, gluten-free,
all sorts of things.
And carnivore options. Yeah. The rare carnivore out there. And we're going to have a grill out Saturday for the 8-hour and the 3-hour race, and we have some really great sides, fresh Pineland Farm veggies that are going to be going into some sides. So it should be really delicious. Sunday morning for the 24-hour races, we're going to have a big breakfast spread with coffee, juice, and whatever beer is left over from Oxbow that isn't drunk the day before, and frittatas, breakfast sandwiches, and potentially yogurt, granola, lots of stuff, fruit, fresh fruit. So it'll be a good spread for everyone. And there's the market as well if you want to supplement. So you won't be hungry after the race, we promise you that. Okay, so yeah, send us your dietary restrictions or any kind of preferences, food limitations to strongmachinear@gmail.com. Secondly, we've got a bunch of questions about wearable technology, Fitbits, Garmin's, things like that. I checked with the USARA board, and it is illegal, standard practice illegal, to wear any kind of step counter, pedometer, GPS enabled tracking or anything like that. So we are allowing, because we know that people want to track their progress or see their routes. We're allowing that stuff if it's sealed in your backpack. We don't want to see that out on course at all. A lot of races do immediate disqualifications for that. We will consider that depending on if it's intentional, because we're being so clear about this, or if it's just an accidental thing, but we don't want to see those out on course at all. It kind of ruins the whole spirit of the race. So please know, even if it's just for tracking for fitness, we don't want any kind of question about that. So sorry to you guys. I know it's fun to trace your steps or even just know how many miles you did or whatever, but we are not allowing that.
We can say relatedly, everybody has to have a phone with them for just as a mandatory gear for emergencies. That is also to stay sealed in your pack and only used in the case of emergency or any need to call us, but not for things like photos. We've had a couple questions about that too. So if you want to take pictures, that's totally fine. Just bring a separate camera if that even exists anymore.
So I got a question from a couple different people who are planning on coming up the night before about suggestions for places to stay. I know there's been a real big trend towards van life over the pandemic. People had some free time on their hands and build out vans. It is okay to car camp, that is sleep in your cars, in your vans on Pineland Farms property. They have a security guard, an overnight security guard, and she will be patrolling. But you won't be bothered if you're in your vehicle. Putting a tent out is not allowed. There's no overnight camping at Pineland Farms. Same with hammocks or anything like that. So unfortunately, you can't tent camp there. There's a number of campgrounds in the area. So we recommend reaching out to those. I know the state parks always keep a certain number of spots in all their campgrounds free. For day of reservations for walk-ins, basically. So you may want to try that if you're desperate. Stealth camping is not the easiest in the area, nor would I recommend it in a public forum. But you can try your luck with that if you're desperate. We're in the Portland area. The whole 295 corridor has tons of hotels. If you're looking for a reasonably priced place to stay, I would say the further out of Portland you get, probably the cheaper it gets. Then again, if you're close to Portland, you can go there for a nice meal the night before the race. Yeah, so that kind of covers that. Let's see. And then afterwards, I know some people might want to sleep after the race. I would say just find a shady spot and sleep in the grass. No putting up tents or hammocks. You might be able to get away with a hammock, but tents are generally a no-go at Pineland. Let's see. So 8 and 24-hour racers, paddle bags there have been some questions about those. So the first question was, can we use plastic bins instead of paddle bags? Yes, I don't know why we decided on paddle bags. We just did as a term, but you can use bins. Anything that contains your gear is fine. So yeah, plastic. If anyone has any other questions regarding or pertaining to paddle bags, let us know.
Yeah, throw that in the chat. We can access those.
But again, they shouldn't be ginormous. They should be like able to be carried by one volunteer, and they shouldn't weigh too much. Like if you have to check it on an airplane, it's too big. Just think about it like that.
Well, except for some of the really big bags for paddle gear.
Yeah, I meant more weight. And
oh, gotcha.
Yeah,
okay.
50 pounds is probably
don't
borderline
bag
way too much. But yes, I mean, be creative with those in terms of putting in fresh clothing, some food, cold drink like a carbonated, like a soda that always tastes good in TA, or Gatorade if you like that stuff. We always put in espresso drink. That's a nice pick-me-up. Anything else, tips for packing for that TA?
I mean, I think especially for the 24-hour teams, they're going to see their paddle bags twice on course. So really think about that as your opportunity to refresh socks or, things like that. That's a big one that I usually, especially just for foot care, trying to keep yourself free of blisters.
And even though it's going to be warm, there's some potential rain in the forecast. So having dry clothes is always really nice. Maybe even like a pack towel to dry yourself off. You're going to be swimming the 8 and 24-hour racers. So, a nice way to clean off, dry off, and that's always a nice thing to have. But again, don't go overboard. Don't pack 8 different changes of clothing and 4 different pairs of shoes, and your free weight set in case you want to do some reps in between stages. Don't do that. Break my back. So along with that, we're transporting bikes for the 24-hour race. For the 8 hours and 3 hours, you can ignore this, but for the 24-hour race, we will be transporting your bikes. And we got a question: is clipping a small bag to the bike with helmet and bike shoes okay? Yes, that's totally fine. Again, you're responsible for making sure that's secure to your bike when you leave it. We're going to do our best to keep everything together for you, but please make sure that's all secure. That's as an alternative to like clipping your bike shoes to your pedals or whatever. Totally fine. Required to take, question about the
swim. Yeah, we had a couple questions about the swim for the 8 and the 24-hour races. So first off, if you bring your own PFD to the race, then you will use your PFD for the swim. And so that means the swim is part of the trekking section, or a trekking section. And so you'll be carrying your PFD with you as you trek. However, the trekking stage is not all that long. And so because of that, we've decided to be nice and keep your gear a little bit drier by allowing you to leave your backpack and mandatory gear at the transition area that's there. So you won't have to swim with your pack and all of your stuff. You will have, though, your map, most likely, right? The map and the passport. So make sure you are bringing something that allows you to keep those dry and safe. But otherwise, you might elect to bring a couple of things with you on that stage, but you don't need to plan to bring your whole backpack. For those who are not bringing their own PFDs, we will have extras. So you can use one of our PFDs to do those swim points. And we are requiring PFDs for the swim.
Surprisingly, not a ton of questions about the swim. I was expecting more.
Maybe
about
there'll
that.
Be more.
But if you have any, feel free to.
It's optional, so you don't have to do it either.
Yeah. And in terms of paddle bags, like how we're going to handle them. So we get asking because obviously the timing of the paddle leg could affect what we want to put in the bag, with potentially needing dry bags for the optional swim. That would be a factor as well. We will have a deadline of 1 hour before the race start.
Basically, you'll just need to have your paddle bag into the the paddle bag drop-off area. I would say at least 15 minutes before the race starts.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be much longer than that. So you will have an opportunity to look over the course instructions and the map before you depart from your map.
And make some choices.
Yeah.
But we're giving you a lot of space in those paddle bags, so you can probably fit anything you want in there. But in terms of like deciding whether I should bring it with me on the race or put it in the paddle bag,
you'll be able to figure that out.
Yeah, you'll have time. Okay, yes. Well, there's one more.
Yeah.
So this is my type of question. Is breakfast going to be available prior to 10 a.m. or prior to 4 p.m. for the 8 hours? That is definitely a question I've asked in many races.
When will the food be ready?
Food is going to start being served at 3 p.m. For the 3-hour racers. And if any early 8-hour racers come in, there'll be food out that you can go right in and hit up for food if you're hungry, even before 4 p.m. And lunch will be served until people are fully fed after the 8-hour race, so probably till 4:35 p.m. We're not going to stop food until everyone's satisfied. And for the 24-hour race, we're looking to start having food ready by like 9:30 a.m. So when you finish,
or if you finish a little early, you should be there.
Yeah. If you
but
finish,
don't roll in at 6 a.m. expecting breakfast.
Yeah, the market
Keep racing longer.
The market does open at 8 a.m.
That's true.
and you can get food starting at 8 at the market. If you happen to be at Pineland early and looking for some food. Also, you can bring some food in your car and snack on that until the market opens or until we start serving breakfast. So that's all the questions we got. Oh, the PFDs. Did you talk about
I
that?
did already talk about
Okay.
that. Yeah.
Great. I think that's it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So now we can go to the questions we've just gotten.
Yeah. So keep the questions coming in the chat. So let's see. Does a paddle need to fit into the bag or tote? That's not necessary as long as the paddle is well secured. So the big thing that we don't want is like, especially a paddle, it would have to be like really nicely, maybe you could like zip tie it or something to the bag. What we don't want is like gear explosion. We want bags that are nicely tightly packed together so that our volunteers aren't potentially losing your gear or getting stuff all kind of mixed up everywhere. So if the paddle doesn't fit into the bag, I know some people have massive paddle bags that fit lots and lots of paddles, pack rafts, PFDs. If you don't have one of those, feel free to secure things to the outside of the bag. Just make sure that they're all really securely bundled.
Here's a good question. Does the full cycling option for the 8 and 24-hour racers have a road bike option? So what's the right answer on that?
I mean, I think the answer is yes. So basically for the 8 and 24, really for all of our 3, 8 and 24-hour races, as you'll see, most everything is optional, meaning that you can always skip checkpoints. If there's a bunch of checkpoints on a trail, you can always bike around them on the road, for example. So if you want to access all of the checkpoints, you'll definitely need a mountain bike. If you are okay dropping checkpoints and want to stay on roads, you can do that. So that's not a problem.
Will the bike legs begin and end at the same TA, or are they point to point?
Ooh, probably not much we can say about that one. There are lots of bike legs. So some of them will be kind of point to point and others may be in and out of the same TA. I think I'll just say that.
So both.
Both.
Are we able to switch shoes between cycling and hiking and leave them with the bikes? Yes, you may. However, with those bike shoes, you'll want that to secure them to your bike, either with a bag or some way of
just for the bike transport. Like there will be some legs where I suppose you'll want to really just read ahead in your race rules. So a lot of racers might elect to have bike shoes and trekking shoes. Just make sure that you've brought your trekking shoes along if you're going to be on a trekking leg somewhere in the middle of a bike leg. But wherever you drop your bikes, you're welcome to drop any bike specific gear. So that could be things like bike shoes or helmets.
Question about gravel bikes. Are they legal to use?
So the 3 and 8 hour, yes, they are legal. For the 24, did we have
I think we had a mandatory mountain bike.
Yeah, we did. Yeah.
And honestly, I mean, if you want to complete anywhere near the full course, you're going to want a mountain bike. If you're okay skipping sections of the race, then you could probably get away with a gravel bike. I would say because our rule says mountain bike mandatory, we're going to make that mandatory. If you don't have a mountain bike and you're signed up for the race, email us and tell us your case. I don't expect you'll, be able to complete anywhere near the full course with a gravel bike. You'll
be able to get through the race, right. But you'll be biking around a lot of sections.
So email us if you have that specific issue. We can try and find you a rental mountain bike or discuss if we're okay allowing a gravel bike in your situation.
But 3 and 8 hour racers are welcome to bring gravel bikes. That's fine.
Yeah. Any kind of bike is fine for the 3 and 8 hour race. We recommend a mountain bike for the 8 hour race, again, to hit all the CPs. If you're okay skipping mountain bike sections, that's okay for the 8 hour race. Do we have access to gear bins at some of the TAs? Yes. The gear bins being the paddle bags.
No additional gear bin.
Yeah. there's no gear bins other than the paddle bags. How many legs in the 8-hour race? We're not
We
going
can't
there.
disclose
No,
that.
too much information.
It'll be a surprise on Saturday. Multiple. There are multiple legs in the 8-hour race.
Maria, your question, so we can't road bike the full course. Is Maria an 8-hour, 24-hour race?
I'm not sure. Maria, can you tell us which race you're signed up for? You can either type it
Okay, so they
or
only have road bikes. If you're in the 3 or 8, that's not a problem.
Hey, can you hear me?
yeah. Hi, Maria.
Hi, we're on the 8 mile and we all have road bikes.
8
So
hour.
we, so
Totally fine.
yeah.
Totally
So
fine.
we can only do 20 miles or can we do the full 30 on just road bikes?
There will be a section that you will not want to do on road bikes.
Right.
I mean, you could carry them along with you.
No. Yeah, we want to ride. So it's so if we want to ride, it's 20 miles, right? Just
Yeah.
on the road bikes.
Yeah,
Okay.
probably a little more than that, but yeah.
You'll have
cool.
a great
All right.
time.
Yeah,
We have
I
a
don't
big,
doubt
plenty
it.
for you.
we'll have a big course for you. If you want to race 8 hours, even without those checkpoints, you'll
You'll
learn
still be
something.
racing 8 hours, yeah.
Great,
Oh.
great. That's my question. Thank you, guys.
So,
Thank you.
yeah,
Sure.
of course.
Gear bins. Yeah.
Okay. So I think we've gone through all the questions that are in the chat. What else?
Come on, stump
Anything
us.
else? Oh, yes. So for the 24-hour racers, we do have live GPS tracking for this event, which we're really excited about. This is our first year doing this. We will be working with Adventure Enablers tracking, and we are actually going to be posting the website for that probably tonight or tonight, maybe tomorrow, on our Facebook page. And so I recommend going to Facebook, looking at our Strong Machine page there, and you'll see the link to the tracking page. We can post that. We'll post that on our regular website, mainsummerar.com as well. And so you can, right now you can go to it, but it won't show the map or anything. At 10 a.m. on Saturday, all of the checkpoints and the sort of expected routes that you'll be taking will pop up on that map. And so anybody who wants to follow you, you can share that link to your own Facebook page or send it around to friends and family, and they'll be able to live track you for the full 24 hours. We have really good cell coverage on the course this year, so that means that there shouldn't be any dead zones. They should be able to see you moving pretty well. And there'll be a live scoreboard, leaderboard. The way that it works is that you will be carrying a GPS tracker on your pack. And I can say now, we'll ask everybody to put that in some sort of ideally maybe a shoulder or top of the backpack pocket. That's the best way for it to get GPS coverage. And that will sort of, track you around the course. After the race, you'll be able to go back in and kind of view yourself and view the other teams. And you'll also be able to download your own GPS file if you want to upload it to Strava or something like that. So all of that will be available. So yeah, basically in order to check that out, you can have your friends and family like our Facebook page, or you can go to that to get the link, and we'll also put it on our website.
Well explained.
Thanks.
All right, going back up to question: how long do we have to carry our pack? How long do we have to carry our pack rafting setup? And if we're staging it, does it have to fit in the paddle bag as well?
So
I don't want to say anything about in terms of how long we have to carry it.
yeah, I think expect
Pack raft.
that for pack rafting teams in the 24-hour race, you should plan to potentially carry your pack raft for a while.
It's not a sea kayak leg; it's a pack raft leg.
Yeah, which means you got to get yourself to the water.
And then
As
if we're
far as
staging it,
fitting it in the paddle, so yeah, I would say that ideally your pack raft would also fit in the paddle bag. But then again, like I said before, as long as everything is just really securely bundled together, that's our biggest concern. So, however that works for you, just make sure that everything is secure so that it's not again, sort of gear explosion. Ideally, you could even, label it with your name. Inevitably, especially after 24 hours of racing, we tend to have at least one racer who forgets all their paddle gear and goes home, and we have to get it to them later. So when you've labeled it, that makes it easier for us to get it back to you.
Team name on everything.
Yeah.
And yeah, if you're having issues fitting stuff in your 2 allotted bags, I mean, in terms of the pack raft, just secure it, and it can be outside of that bag. We're not trying to like deprive anyone of space they need for like food and clothes. So, but yes, let's see.
That top one right there.
Yes, why don't you do that one?
Where did it go? Oh yeah. Will we be able to access our own paddles and PFDs for the sea kayak? Yes. So anybody who, like, even say you're a pack rafting team, for example, you will see all that paddle gear at the sea kayak leg as well. So paddle bags will always be seen wherever there's a paddle section. For non-pack rafting teams, you will still see your paddle bag where the pack rafting teams are going to pack raft. So even non-pack rafting teams will see their bags again. So 24-hour teams can expect to see their paddle bags multiple times on the course. And everybody will expect to see their paddle bags wherever there's a sea kayaking leg. There's a swim question for you.
Will the whole team need to swim? Yes. Either the whole team swims or the whole team does not swim.
The whole team should swim. It's a nice swim.
Will we need to carry a pack raft? I think we addressed that.
Yeah.
Mentioned seeing our paddle bag twice. I believe we'd see it before and after sea kayak and pack rafting legs. Yes, so it's multiple times. I think there's some in and out of TAs. There's some through TAs. So you'll see it multiple times. I haven't even added it up. It's more than 2 if you're counting every time you're going back through the same
More
area.
than 2, less than 10 times. We'll put it that way.
And through the whole race, I don't think you'll go more than 8 to 10 hours without seeing it.
Yep. And for 24-hour racers too, remember there's also going to be food on course. So we've got one TA where there's food available, like snack kind of stuff, prepackaged stuff for purchase and beverages. And then we have another TA where it's our good to go sponsor TA, where you'll have the opportunity to grab a hot meal for your team if you choose to. So there should be, I mean, for 24-hour racers, you could be pretty well fed between your paddle bag and the food that's available on course. Plus there's tons of towns that you'll be going through with like cute little country stores and things. So
and gas stations too, 24-hour gas stations all through the course.
Yeah.
Could you provide a rough guess on total mileage without revealing too much? For the 8-hour be easier than the 24-hour, just because I can't count that high.
I mean, our 24-hour courses tend to be about 100 miles total. An 8-hour race is probably going to be
Divide by a third.
About a third of that. Yeah, I would say the 8-hour race is probably in the like 30 to 40 range, and the 3-hour race is a lot shorter, probably 5 miles maybe.
The 3-hour race,
Yeah.
a little bit more than 5 miles for the whole course.
Okay.
I mean, I would say, if you're lucky, you can do it in 7 miles. But they're not easy miles.
Yeah.
You'll be busy for 3 hours with that.
And with the paddle get bags, again, you'll see them multiple times, and you'll see your course instructions, which will show you where you will see your paddle bags before you have to depart from the bags. So you should have plenty of time to strategize for how you want to use those.
Oh yeah, we did get a couple of questions about the water temperature for the swim. People asked if it was ocean. It is not an ocean swim. You don't need a dry suit. You don't need a wetsuit. If you want to wear a dry suit, I'm sure that guy right there will be super excited to take a photo of you wearing a dry suit. But
please, someone wear a dry suit. That would be amazing.
No, it's a nice, comfortable Maine lake paddle or swim. So a nice warm Maine lake being.
Oh, it's probably in the 60s. I would bet, like mid to high 60s. It might be 70. It depends.
Yeah,
I think it's probably high 60s.
It's refreshing.
I don't really know how to tell water temperature, so I could be totally wrong.
Yeah.
We swam in it not long ago, and it was lovely.
Where do you think teams will have the most trouble? I think that's
Chris Yeager is trying to get details out of us. I mean, Teams have the most trouble oftentimes with navigating. So anybody who's new to adventure racing, well, Randy, you can tell us which is better, fast or slow?
Slow is fast.
Slow is fast.
Take your time, don't make mistakes.
So, navigation trips people up, and, I can't count the number of times we've been passed by a team running, super fast in the wrong direction. And, if you're going really fast in the wrong direction, ultimately that's slow. So take your time, look at the maps. You'll see that the maps are different scales. So some of them are kind of zoomed in and suddenly you've gone really far without realizing it. Others are bigger. For those teams who are traveling overnight, you tend to think you've gone farther than you really have gone. So you're going to be traveling a lot slower at night. So I would say navigation is a big place that people get tripped up just generally. So especially if you're new to racing or newer, give yourself lots of patience, that it takes time to kind of build that skill in navigation. So, but I think our course is generally pretty forgiving in that because of so many optional checkpoints. So a great race to kind of, challenge yourself with navigation while also being able to still, finish the course.
Well said again. How much actual orienteering is involved, plotting azimuths, distances, et cetera, versus general terrain association? Excuse me. I would say that you can definitely do the whole course with general terrain association. So if hearing the word azimuth gives you shivers down your spine like it does to me, you can get through this without knowing what an azimuth bearing
you're gonna want to use your compass though, like definitely. I mean, so terrain, for those who aren't following some of this, basically like, this is a map and compass event, of course, not GPS. And so there are multiple ways to navigate. Sometimes people will do things like shooting a bearing on a compass or pace counting to judge distance. I should say speedometers are, odometers are allowed on your bike. So that's a great way to very accurately judge distance on bike. Versus terrain association, which is just going to be kind of like looking at your map and viewing it almost sort of 3D, so you can look around you and really judge various terrain features that you're seeing. And for those who have done like true orienteering events, AR tends to be a little different from that. The kind of way, there's usually more space, for example, between checkpoints. Also, the maps usually aren't quite nearly as high quality as an orienteering map. And so we always, though, put our checkpoints on features, like noticeable features, something that's on the map, but also exists in real life. We're also, we can say, really lucky to have a fantastic volunteer of ours, Tom Rycroft, who's put together a couple of really great maps for some of our sections using the LiDAR from the area. So really, really nicely kind of defined contour lines and things. And he's done some nice field checking with those too. So not a true orienteering map, but definitely much nicer than the kind of standard USGS. So you'll see all sorts of maps out there in this race.
I hope that answered the question, but let us know if you'd like more info. Are there any specific rules in case of lightning? Yes.
Good question.
They are, we are formulating them in terms of how it fits our race. But I would say our policy is that if there's lightning sighted, then you are not paddling, then you need to pull over and get off the water. So that is our official policy. We are going to have tracking for the 24 hours, so we'll know what's going on the water. We have contingency plans if there's a storm comes through while there's paddling happening, and we'll be able to have eyes on pretty much the whole paddle section for both the 8 and 24-hour race. Yeah, no paddling if there's lightning, and we'll let you know at the TA what the situation is weather-wise, so you'll know what to expect.
And if there are any course changes as a result of weather, then we'll communicate those to you sort of as soon as possible. And, we'll keep monitoring the weather, and that morning we can hopefully make any changes before the race even starts. But hopefully we won't have to change anything. We'll just have lovely weather.
Yes. Do we choose which option to start, cycling versus hiking, et cetera? Or is it predetermined? That we'll leave that as a secret. We're not going to tell you what you're starting with. Some races, it's very clear what you're starting out. Some, there's surprises. So we want to leave that as a surprise. We're not going to tell you how the race starts. So just be ready to do any of the events.
Well, we will tell you for every race, you'll get a course instructions sheet at the check-in. And that's going to tell you all the details of sort of whether there's any elements of choice in what you're doing, or if there's a predetermined order that we need you to do it in. You'll see there'll be times when you have maybe some choice or flexibility, but a lot of the times we'll say, hey, stage 1 is X and stage 2 is Y, and you have to do it in that order.
The one exception this year is the 3-hour race.
Oh yeah.
The 3-hour race is completely open. You get to choose biking, hiking extravaganza. So that is your choice from the beginning of the race, how you want to approach the course. So if any 3-hour racers are out there wondering, I guess what I would say is look at the map and make a plan for how you want to attack all those checkpoints, foot, bike, some mix of it. But it's your choice. You get to choose.
Nice discussion happening about how to eat during an adventure race. So how much to eat, how often to eat, and so people can look in the chat for some great advice. Yeah, basically, you almost can't eat enough, even though you might not be moving as you're not sprinting the whole time. Typically, you're often moving slower than, say, if you were to do like a triathlon or something. But you're exerting quite a bit, especially because a lot of what you'll be doing is off trail or off road. And so, even just kind of bushwhacking, for example, at slow speed still can take a lot of effort. So I would say 2 things: don't undereat, and also be really aware of hydration, just especially during a July race, even if it is overcast and rainy. It's been really humid here too. And it just is surprising sometimes how much sort of sweat you like work up in these situations. So just make sure that you are hydrating and replacing your electrolytes. So that can be like, we use actually just like salt tabs. We just eat salt. But you can also do things like Noon or Gatorade or Right Stuff or all these other brands of various electrolyte replacements.
Will there be water at TAs? Yes, there will be water at all the TAs. Enough so that you can all fill up your bladders, fill up some bottles. Probably not enough to take a shower, but that's why we have you swimming. But yeah, you'll have Gatorade jugs at each TA to fill up, and we will try and be as active as we can be in terms of getting those refilled.
There's also a ton of water on course, so
yeah,
some kind of water filtration or water treatment is a mandatory gear for the 8 and 24-hour racers. So make sure you do bring that. That's nice if you end up out on a section longer than you expect to be and you run out of water. There's water really almost everywhere, fresh water on this course. So you'll have no problem finding some out in the woods either.
I had one update that I just thought of. 8-hour racers. I got word from Pineland today that the staff they were going to come in early to make breakfast are not able to do that. The kitchen doesn't, or the market doesn't open till 8 a.m. and the race starts at 8 a.m. So unfortunately, we cannot get you any breakfast. So we'll have to tell people about that, to not depend on the market for breakfast.
Yeah.
So sorry about that. The staffing shortages are like really bad in the Maine food service industry right now. So it's been trouble getting fully staffed, and they just can't bring people in early because that means they'll be short staffed for their lunch service. So sorry about that. 24-hour racers, the market will open at 8 for grab and go. So for breakfast, you should be all set there. I had a breakfast sandwich recently there. It was delicious. So it's good food.
I had a frittata. It was also really good.
Yeah, and then 3 hours should be fine too.
For the swim, if you do want to change clothes, bathing suit, or just like change of clothes before or after swim, there are like porta potties. I don't know if is there a changing room?
There's a whole changing room.
Is there? Okay, then yes. There will be places to change clothing.
Yeah, there is a changing room there, but if you want to be fast, you might want to just bring a towel and do the old switcheroo. We'll be in a semi-private area there, so yeah.
Depends on how comfortable you are.
Yeah,
getting naked in public.
We won't stop you.
Yeah.
Okay, last chance for questions, guys. Come on. Any last brain ticklers? Randy, any questions?
No, because I've been looking at the maps for like the last 3 hours, so I'm good.
That's when all the toughest questions come.
I think Kate handled it all for me.
All right, Randy, give him a little teaser. What do you think of the course?
There, looks pretty fair, looks pretty spread out. Looks like you're gonna see some really cool areas. And remember, don't give me the thumbs up.
No thumbs up
No
in
thumbs
photos.
up.
Do you like?
Wait.
I'll wave at you.
Okay. You can use any finger you want, just not a thumb.
Okay, so as they go by you, should they look like they're racing? What's your advice?
You look any way you like.
There you
I'll
go.
make you look like a hero.
Cool. Thanks,
All right,
guys.
we got our last few questions that came in here. So every team gets a single set of maps, no matter how many people are on the team. How mountainous is the course? That one I think we can't really say much about.
You're not climbing Katahdin, so you're not climbing the tallest peak in Maine. There's hills. It's not flat. It's not Switzerland.
Somewhere between flat and Switzerland. It covers it pretty well.
And yes, we are so excited to be putting this on.
Really
and
excited.
the course has been now 2 years in the making, and we're really excited for it. The toughest part is not being able to talk about it because everyone knows I'm a talker, but holding secrets well right now on this course.
So far, so good.
We want it to be, some of these checkpoints are really in just beautiful locations. Like everyone feels really special. So we're excited. Like our motto is always, we want to bring you to fun and unexpectedly cool places in Maine. And I think this course really does that. I think you'll be really surprised at what you encounter out there, and in a good way. And it's going to push every team. That's the point of this sport, is to go as hard as you can for as long as you can. And we hope to see a lot of exhausted racers, while we want everyone to be safe and having a good time. Sometimes it'll be type 2 fun, but our races tend to be not as much type 2 fun as other races. So you're not going to suffer too much out there. You'll hopefully be smiling more than
Some people might suffer a little bit, but if you don't want to suffer, you won't have to.
But no, thank you guys all so much for signing up, and we will see you all on Saturday.
Thanks, everybody. And yes, photos from Randy will be available after the race, so you'll all get to see your adventure again, relive it. Bye, everybody.
Congratulations, Sam. Sam got engaged. Yay! And sorry, Dave. All right, guys. Oh. Well, we one up volunteer.
Yeah, exactly. I think
There's somebody else in the same boat, so come on.